Good morning. Welcome everybody. Thursday morning. Today is August 13th. Welcome everybody this morning. This is the last day this week for devotions. I'll just give you a quick announcement as we're waiting for people to come in and populate our live stream here. Next week, I'm going to be out of town beginning Monday morning through the weekend, and I'm going to go on my annual hunting trip. I'm going to hunt mule deer up in the high country and do some fishing in the middle of the day during the doldrums of when all the deer are bedded down mostly anyway. And so I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm going to be gone next week, so it means that we're doing something a little bit different with our live stream. I've asked Sierra Para to fill in for me for 2 of the 4 days next week. And so Monday, Tuesday, you'll see Sierra. And then Wednesday, Thursday, it'll be me, but it'll be a pre-recorded video. I've already done one of the recordings, and I'm going to do one after our time here this morning. And so those will be scheduled to go live at the normal live time, 7 a.m. Wednesday and 7 a.m. Thursday, but they won't actually be live. They'll be recorded. So just so you give a heads up, so if you be thinking, I'll see you on Sunday, and I'll see you the following Sunday, but this upcoming week, next week, I'm going to be up in the mountains for a few days and hopefully have success mule deer hunting. And so I'm grateful for that opportunity, and it's always a valuable time, even though it can be hard and stressful and so on, but I love that part too. So welcome everybody. I see Barbara Richardson. I see so many people coming in, and when I do these longer introductions of the video, I kind of miss people, but I think I saw my mom come in and Debbie Collins. And if I'm missing people, I apologize. I see that there's actually 13 people in the live stream watching, 14 now, Brandy and Carr. Welcome this morning. So I know there's a number of you and that I've missed, or several of you that maybe haven't commented, but welcome everybody. All the faithful, all of those who come so regularly on these early morning devotions. And I'll just include again, just like yesterday, all those who watch this later in the day, welcome. You are very valuable to me and to this time as well. So grateful for you. Lori Smalley, welcome this morning. Good to see you. So we are in Psalm 13 today, and if you saw the title of today's devotion, How Long, O Lord? This idea of waiting. We've talked about this before. The reason we've talked about it so many times is because it is such a common theme of the Psalms, and therefore it's really reflective of the common theme of our lives. It feels like sometimes we are waiting for something to change, and we've prayed fervently, and God, you are sovereign, and I trust you, and I know you can change my situation. But then there's the waiting. It's like, okay, well, how long are we going to wait? And so that's the question of the psalmist in Psalm 13. So let's read that together. It's a short psalm. Psalm 13. Let me get there. Here we are. So verse 1 begins with that question, how long? How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? So the psalmist has been waiting a while. He's offered prayers, probably offered sacrifices, and done everything the psalmist knows to do to change his situation, but it continues. How long will you hide your face from me? Now, when we see this terminology, there's 2 elements of it. God hiding his face. So the reality is that God is always present. There's never a time that God is not present with us. But when this is normal language that we would use, because it sometimes feels like God is distant. God, are you hearing me? Of course God hears us. God, where are you? How come you're hiding your face from me? No, God is right there with us, but because we're not seeing the results that we desire, it feels like God has turned his face against us. Think about our study of Ruth and Naomi. Because of all the tragedies of her life, which are very real, very difficult for her, she concludes that the hand of the Lord is against her. She hasn't lost her faith. She still acknowledges who God is. She still believes in God. But it feels a whole lot like the hand of the Lord is against her. So here's very emotional language. And we can totally connect with this, can't we? When we're praying for a desired outcome and it's just out of reach, and so on. A common theme of life, really. Verse 2, how long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? Consider and answer me, O Lord my God. Light up my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death. This is how it feels to them. It's like, man, I'm going to die without this answered prayer. Lest my enemies say, I have prevailed over him. So I want other people to see that you're blessing me, God, so they don't think that I went to my grave clinging to nothing, that God's real, So I want other people to see the answer to prayer too. Verse 5, but, here's a really important transition and contrast, and this is where I want to talk mostly about. But I have trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. So even though the current experience of the psalmist is one of waiting, they don't feel very comfortable, they're going through something that's really difficult, he says, but I will trust in the Lord. My hope is secure in the steadfast love of God. I believe in the steadfast love of God. That's God's loyal love. It's covenant-keeping love. It's the common phrase that the psalmists use continually when it feels like God's not hearing them, when it feels like God's far away. It's their self-counsel when they say, but I will place my hope in the steadfast love of God. I know he is still there. I know he's faithful. I don't know why this is happening, but I trust the Lord. So that's the heart of the psalmist when he's in the midst of going through this difficult time. And that really speaks to the reality of the definition of faith, right? When we think of the definition of faith, we think of a verse that comes to mind is Hebrews 11:1. And I jotted that down just so I could quote it easily. Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And this is the heart of the psalmist. Now, I have faith of something I'm hoping for, and I'm convinced of it, that it will take place, that I will be able to say that God has dealt bountifully with me, that God has provided salvation for me, even though right now it doesn't feel that way. And anybody looking at my life, they may not see that currently. My faith will prevail because I believe that in something I cannot see right now. And I am convinced that God will deal bountifully with me. That's the heart of the psalmist. And he says what in verse 2, he says, how long will I have to take counsel to my soul? That's the counsel he's given himself. That's the counsel that I believe is at the heart of this psalm for all of us to give ourselves when we're asking that same question. How long, God? How long is this going to last? How long is this difficulty or this frustration or this turmoil, uncertainty, whatever it is that we're experiencing? How long, God, is it going to last? We don't know the answer to that question, but he's asked, how long will I have to take this counsel in my soul of faith? That one thing I'm going to cling to, the fact that God does hear me. He has steadfast love. One day I will say, look at the salvation God has provided. I will be able to sing to the Lord about the bountiful way he has dealt with me. And that is the core of faith. And so the answer to that question, how long? We don't know. As long as it takes, I guess, is the answer, right? As long as it takes. We don't know what God is trying to produce in us. And sometimes that can take place in a short period, and sometimes that takes place over years. I know it's hard to grab a hold of that, but I can think of some things that God is teaching me in my life that I can literally track over years. that it's a reoccurring cycle of some frustration or circumstance that is in my heart, a part of my shadow character, whatever it is that I personally need to grow in. And God keeps circling me around to that thing. And I'm like, oh, here we are again. I'm right up against that same wall that I've been at before so many times. So some of the things that, when I say, how long is it going to take before I get over this? I don't know. Sometimes it takes years. And I'm so grateful. This is one of the benefits of journaling. I can go back over old journals and I can see in journals that are from years ago, I'm asking sometimes the same questions about life that I'm still asking today. And it takes years to accumulate experience and knowledge through our faith in God to bring out some of these deeper, hard-fought, well-earned answers to life's questions. And this is why I see the value in having mentors, people who are much older than me, who I hang out with and I talk about some of my frustrations of life, because they're away, sometimes many years ahead of me, 20, 30 years ahead of me, and they can say, yep, been there many times. I get where you're at. And they can give me counsel about, because they're further down the road, the how long for them has a lot more experience, a lot more knowledge. This is what I love about hanging out with people who I would appeal to as a mentor in my life. And because they've lived out their faith a little bit longer than me. And so I really appreciate that. But when you're in the midst of it, we just have to understand that we sometimes just have to endure, because God is producing something in us that takes time. And we have to counsel our soul with the faith that one day we will look back and say, this is the answer. This is the salvation God has provided. Look at how God has dealt bountifully with me, because I've learned this long-earned lesson of life through this one thing maybe that keeps coming around in my life and I have to deal with in me, in my own heart, that right now feels frustrating, but one day I will kind of grow past. You see, it's in the journey that God really works, that faith really is tested. It's in the crucible that precious metals are refined, right? And dross, the contaminants of that metal are removed. And after the refinement, the metal is more precious. It's further refined. It's of greater value. And the reason the writers of Scripture use that analogy, because that's just life. That's the way life feels sometimes. We're in the crucible. One of the things that I love about going up in the high mountains in the backcountry is that at night you can see the stars so much more clearly than when you're down more in civilized inhabited areas, because of the ambient light of those areas, reflecting on the Earth's atmosphere. We can't see the stars as clearly. I'm grateful to live in where we do, where it's rural enough where we do see the stars. When Martha and I lived in LA, we couldn't see the stars hardly at all at night because of the reflection of the city lights on the atmosphere. But when you go up to the mountains, it's even more clear at night. And this is the reality. The analogy that I'm bringing out is that the darker the night, the brighter the stars. The more difficult our time is, that our journey is, and the circumstance around us, the more brightly we who are remaining faithful can shine. Coming back to Ruth and Boaz and Naomi, why is this, our study on Sunday mornings currently? Why is Ruth and Boaz, why do they stand out so much to us? It's because, in part, and this is the intention of the writer, is that, remember the context, they're living during the time of the Judges, and probably during the latter time of the Judges, where things in Israel are really dark. The faithfulness of God's people is pretty dim. There's a lot of immorality. There's a lot of unfaithfulness. And so in that context of darkness, This is why Ruth and Boaz, who are living out, making really difficult choices of integrity, are shining like stars in the midst of what the New Testament writers, we shine like stars in the midst of a crooked generation. The more crooked the generation, the more we shine. And so even as it's so difficult right now in our world, when we look at the news, it is not encouraging. When we look at the frustrations of living out a time during a pandemic and the economic difficulties we're experiencing, the more it feels like even believers are just venting and angry. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be angry over certain things. I'm sorry, there's a helicopter going over if you hear that. But it's how do we respond in our dark time? How do we respond? Do we respond as people of faith? And when we do, that faith will shine all the brighter due to the darkness around us. And so it really comes down to a choice we have to make. What counsel we give to our own soul, just like the psalmist. How long is this going to last? How long will I have to give this counsel to my soul? What is the counsel? I'll read it again. This is the counsel. It's not always going to be this way. I'm going to trust in God. He says, I have trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. It will come. I know it. I'm going to cling to that. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. And this knowledge gives us counsel or encouragement or comfort in the present. And the more we have our eyes focused on God's ultimate salvation, the more we have our eyes focused on the ultimate reward that God's steadfast love hasn't abandoned us, the more we can, and we act out of that, the more we stand apart from those who are just spouting doom and gloom, and it's all bad, and our leaders are corrupt, and I get it. Those are. I don't want to downplay the fact that those things are frustrating in this world. But as believers, the more we exhibit faithfulness during times like this, and hope, and that we can trust God and are a source of encouragement to others, it just shines so brightly during dark times. And this is why this devotion exists. We do it Monday through Thursday. This is why you are here. You are here as faithful people saying, yep, I'm getting that encouragement today. I'm setting my mind on things of the Lord today. And that is going to be one of the tools throughout during my day of bolstering my faith throughout the day to make sure that I am shining like a star amidst a very dark time where even other believers may be tempted to abandon hope. And so we have power. We have power today to be an encouragement, a source of encouragement because of our faith. Though we don't yet see it, I'm convinced of it today. Though we don't yet see our deliverance, see the salvation, I am convinced of it, and I will sing. I will praise God in the midst of this. Because of his goodness, because of his steadfast love. That's the hope we have as believers. So don't give up. How long will it take? I don't know. However long, it could be years. I hate saying that, but there are many things that God, like I said, it takes years for God to develop in us. What is he at work doing today in us? Let us surrender ourselves to that so that we can shine more brightly today. So God bless you guys. You'll see Sierra on Monday, as I said, and you'll see me, a video of me, on Wednesday and Thursday next week. But I'll see you Sunday, if for those of you who are here, and if not, we'll see you on the live stream. So be blessed this weekend, and we'll see you again soon.